What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into something that I think for a while I've been wanting to go into this, and my main qualm with doing this was I wanted as many examples as possible, but I could go deeper and deeper and find many examples. We have about 15 examples here, and as the title suggests, we're going to go into people that have outright came out and said that the NFL is rigged to some capacity. Because according to Pat McAfee, the only person who ever came out was Chidi Anatu. And I know it's so hard to pronounce right. It's literally Chidi Anatu. And Pat McAfee, with all of his research, just could not pronounce this guy's name. But yeah, it's he pronounces Troy Polamalu perfectly, but not that. But we'll see if he's the only outlier. Now, I just do like to always do recaps of our nights. And college, I like to thank a few people, Matt, as well as Z, because we have like I said, I made this Discord to be like a think tank, and we had a few people point out, Matt pointed it out, Purdue only a 1-point favorite, and then Goodfellow agreed, Big Z agreed, and I thought it was weird too. Here we have a third-ranked team going up against an unranked team, and the unranked team's favored. It just made sense. Everyone's going to be all over the Purdue in that game, so I always like to give people credit where it's due. Again, it's not just me. I take everything into account. Overall, we had a great day, and this is, mind you, I'll do a quick recap, before we just head in, because there's not many. We don't have any plays really for tomorrow, so because this the break. So I just wanted to go into this tonight. But yeah, even with all the clips, we got clipped on UAB by like 2 points. We got clipped on Rice by like a half point. We got clipped on Stonehill by a point. It was pretty rough. We had about 4 clips, and then we got the Clippers over by exactly a point. Shocker, it was 233. What's that backwards? So whenever I see a spread around that, I like to get it where I'm going to be getting the better side of it. So if it had moved to 223, I would have been very suspicious, because they do it a lot. Same with 232. But we got that one. Chris Paul toyed with people at the end, missed a wide open layup. And then he just made one just to sink the hearts of anyone who took the under. But most importantly, no leg 3 losses, and we closed out all of the leg 3s we had in play. Now, going into my rebuttal against anybody that says nobody's ever came out, or only one guy's come out. Well, Chidi Anatu, he came out and he said, and you can source all these yourself. You can see what they said. You can get the context. Obviously, a lot of what they said was taken down, but you can still get the basic context. And he essentially said that they're all predetermined and they make sure of it on the field. Okay, it was pretty generic, but that's what he said. Now, again, Pat said he's the only guy to ever come out. So let's see if that's the... Oh, we got Larry Johnson. Now, Larry, he's been kind of used as a fringe. So what they do is they take somebody who has some very passionate beliefs that are out there, and they just tie them into a fringe conspiracy type sector. And that's what they did with Larry Johnson. But he specifically came out and said how scripted the league is. And again, nobody has had a rebuttal for him. Pat McAfee did not have him on the show to discuss this. So here's just one extra person, because people said there was 0. I'm sorry, they said there was 0, then they said 1. And now we have 2. Dwight Smith, number 3. Now, he is like, obviously, the reason he's used the most, it's not because of any reason. It's not because he's the only guy, as you'll see. It's because he is the most damning example. He specifically was known for getting a pick 6 in the Super Bowl on a ridiculously stacked defense. And why would he come out and tarnish that by saying it was scripted? He said he knew every play that was going to be ran. You'll see other players that tie into this. So again, now it's stemming from beyond just their officials, like they're trying to push. He's telling us that at least the coaches, and more likely the league, knew what was going to happen, and players had to have known, and that's why he had such an easy time of it. So let's just see if that's it. Oh, Arian Foster. Now, you might say, well, he was being sarcastic. Well, how do I know? He came out and he said something. I didn't hear much of a punchline, and even if he was being sarcastic, what he said is exactly what all these other people are saying. So I'm going to tie him in right with those people and just said he told us the truth in plain sight. He might have done it in somewhat of a sarcastic way, as did, who I find interesting, someone else who did it in a sarcastic way, just got arrested. Who was it? It was a basketball player. One of the 4 basketball players that got arrested. it was him. I'll find him in a second. Basically, they were joking about, oh yeah, I get my script on this day of the week. I forget who it was, but big player, big name, and I find that funny. So, but this is just, I don't know what the arrest was for, but I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. He's the only real big name of the 4 people that got arrested for the supposed assault. And yeah, the one guy, I'll find him in a second. But anyway, Arian Foster, yeah, he did say it, so I'm going to hold him to that. Benny Cunningham is an interesting example because he specifically said this man had to go onto Reddit and make an account because he got stripped of all of his social media privileges. He said that they have to sign NDAs, and he felt compelled to come out. And again, he just got ripped down. Pat McAfee forgets this man ever existed, I guess, just like the rest of them. And, okay, so we got a handful, so what, right? Well, now we're at Jalen Ramsey. These aren't small names. And just because they said it a couple years ago doesn't make it irrelevant. He specifically said that coach wanted the Pats to go over and to ease up and to let them win. And however they had to do that. That's what he tweeted, and he had to delete the tweet. So that just shows. And then they went after him hard too. They said how he damaged the integrity by even tweeting that. That's what they do with this. They always say damage the integrity because they're a projection artist. So okay, we're like 7 in or something. So what, right? Joe Thomas, what did he say? He came out and he said, and I think it was after a bad loss to Pittsburgh or something, but he said he understands why they make the calls they do. And then later when he was talking about it, he equated McMahon to Goodell and said they could easily resolve these issues. He went over how you can use sky cams and with the technology we have, how these calls could all be perfect. But the reason they're not is because of it's Alvin Kamara. It was an NFL guy. Alvin Kamara is the one with the script. He came out and said, I get my script. Well, I guess he was scripted to get embarrassed, and who knows, maybe he was not supposed to tweet what he did, but I found it interesting. But yeah, it was Kamara who did that. So anyway, Joe Thomas came out and said that. He said after a loss, he doubled down, saying that the NFL is no different than WWE. It's entertainment. Bubba Smith. So we can say, well, the rigging hasn't been going on for that long. It's not that entrenched until you realize what he goes over. He says, no, the Jets were not that good that game. This is a Hall of Famer, by the way. This isn't some schlub. Not that a Hall of Famer's word is any more or less than a schlub, but he was going over how he knew that something was wrong. He said, we were setting this team up. There's no reason we shouldn't have won. Even just kicking field goals, he knew it was the quarterback, and then he knew the game was thrown. But he said they weren't that good. Something was off. And then he went into how if you read the terms of the merger, if the AFL hadn't established credibility, this was year 3, the same year Hulk slammed Andre, WrestleMania 3 at least, the same installment. And, of course, Joey Namath gets his guarantee. What makes it more interesting, Carol Rosenblum admitted it was rigged. How did he admit it was rigged? Well, he owned the Baltimore Colts. He bet $3 million on the Jets, and the Jets won. If that's not enough proof, I don't know what is. And he even went on to say how he's a businessman who's always going to make the right business choice. And he disassociated people from his staff because he did not want too many people figuring out what's going on. So this is back, Super Bowl 3. You can see that this isn't something that just happened. I think the way they go about it changes. Oh, yeah, but we have TJ Ward. Some people, they're people of few words. And I appreciate that. This is what he tweeted out after a game. And I don't even think he was in the game, just to put this in context. I believe it was a Tom Brady win, and he was just giving his sentiments on the game. So, but yeah, that like I said, another person. Now you could say, okay, that's just officiating. But we've had a lot of people here that have been saying it's not officiating. So whatever reason he's saying he is. Jerry Rice ties in with, like I said, Dwight Smith. He said he's never seen in his career, he'd never seen a coach switch up. He's talking high school. He said, I'm college. He did the interview. He basically came out and said it without saying it. He said where a coach would just switch up the game plan a week before the Super Bowl. He feels it was done on purpose. And, of course, this is a Super Bowl that people can say, again, this is not the officiating now. This is 100% between the coaches and some of the players. Dwight Smith said he knew the plays, and the coaches were obviously Callahan had Gruden's old team. So, and this is all out in the open. So, I mean, this Super Bowl, they came out and basically said the coaches decided, their coaches were enough to decide this game. Even if Rice was running the right routes and doing everything right, the coaches had enough of a say because they were able to run the wrong plays, etc. So Jerry Rice came out, and Tim Brown echoed those same sentiments. He said they felt like they were thrown under the bus, and he just never seen it in his career. So two of the best receivers ever, you can argue the two best ever, both at the tail end of their careers have never seen this, and people are saying it's normal. Richard Sherman, he came out and said the constant rule changes, and he's always putting out cryptic stuff, but this one's more blatant, more concrete. The constant rule changes are just a way for the NFL to have outcomes they see fit. That does not sound like officiating to me. That sounds like the league, and they have the officials carry that out. The officials are not the ones writing the books for what people think. The officials are not the ones writing the rule book, and I'm going to be going into this in great detail. Like I said, I have an interview coming up. I think you guys are going to love it. It's going to go into the rule book and what the officials can and can't get away with. What Richard Sherman's saying here is basically the officials carry this out, but they're not the ones who change the rules. It's changed because the league needs certain teams to win, certain things to happen. Marshawn Lynch. Now, again, you can call this one more abstract, less concrete, circumstantial. He said, now I see why coach didn't give me the ball. I think that is basically giving it away without, kind of like him saying, I'm just here so I don't get fined. He basically just didn't use the word rigged, so he didn't get suspended. And again, a lot of these players fell off. Hall of Fame caliber players just fell off after these type things have happened. Pat McAfee, why am I using him? Well, just weeks before he 180'd on us and said the NFL is the most upstanding business ever, he was complaining that it must be rigged because he thought he was going to win a big prop and he had given it out to all of his fans and there was a promo code and everyone was going to win, and Brady took a knee and it screwed up his rushing, his over 2.5 rushing yards, and it screwed up the prop for everybody, and he was convinced Vegas was in on. Here's the thing. I don't understand how Pat McAfee at the time didn't understand with his team winning that Brady would very likely go into the victory formation, and he was acting like he was befuddled when Brady decided to take a kneel. What did you expect to happen? Like, did he expect them to come out in shotgun when the other team had no timeouts? So not only did he sell it terribly, and you could tell he didn't actually bet on the game, but he was saying it was rigged. He said Vegas has to know stuff. This doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, he completely 180'd on us when they told him to stand down. And we get to the last person, because how can we say it's rigged without the guy himself, without Tom Brady himself, the guy it's rigged for, saying a thing? So what did Tom Brady, who did he give all of his credit to his wins for? Was it God? Was it the devil? Was it Goodell? Was it his teammates? He thanks them. But in an interview that you can go on YouTube and watch, he says his wife's a witch who told him every year correctly if he'd win or lose. She specifically told him in 2016, you're going to have to work very hard for it. This is what he said, okay? This is, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but this is essentially exactly what his wife said. He did say his wife is a witch. He said his wife messes with the supernatural, and he 100% believes, if you listen to the interview, that his wife is the reason he wins or loses games, and she predicts the ones he's going to win or lose. So whether it is Vegas being omnipotent, whether it is the coaching, whether it is the rule changes by the league committee, whether it's the coaching here again, players in on it, whether it's the owners themselves, or whether it's witchcraft, I think we have tackled many, many issues here in many, many ways that it's not just the officials. Okay, the NDAs make a lot of sense here by Benny Cunningham. I'd love to, be able to reach out to him one day. But my point is, these aren't outliers. So I was able to find this many. I think it was like 16 or something. Apparently McAfee could only find this one here. I wonder why. I wonder why he couldn't find Dwight Smith. I wonder why he couldn't find Bubba. I wonder why he couldn't find all these people. To me, it's pretty obvious the reason. You'd think Pat McAfee might have known that Rosenblum was an owner who bet on the other team. And you could argue, oh, well, they changed the laws and back then it was normal. That's fine. It doesn't disprove that it has not been corrupted and orchestrated from the very beginning. So, yeah, here's my examples. I could probably find another dozen easy. But I think these are some good examples ranging from every generation. And plenty of Hall of Famers, plenty of Super Bowl players, plenty of players who would have no reason to come out and just, for no reason, say that it's rigged. And as far as the tax-exempt argument, Vince McMahon is not tax-exempt, and he doesn't pay less in taxes because he is entertainment. That's silly. The reason he gets to pay less in taxes is his wrestlers are not athletes. They are, but there's a reason he always calls them superstars, not wrestlers. It's more because of a legal position. They are independent contractors. They have to pay for their own medical. Now, I'm not sure how it works with these teams, but I would not be surprised if these players were independent contractors, which would explain these giant bonuses and the salaries not matching up to the bonuses. So by all 32 owners collectively filing under the NFL, you can see how taxes can be shaved. So that's the only reason that they did that, and so they can get away with being sued because it was a competition. Now it's sports entertainment. But they try and spin it. But yeah, Vince is not tax exempt, nor is the WWE. They pay taxes. They just don't pay a payroll tax for their wrestlers because they have them as independent contractors. And I wouldn't be surprised if, these athletes were all independent contractors. It'd be very interesting to see. Of course, we wouldn't be able to, but the real meat of the matter of their contracts and what they're actually getting paid to do. But yeah, I think, again, I covered a lot of examples here. And I have another video coming out. It's related to another conspiracy. You can call it a conspiracy, but it's related to another important matter. And that video has no less than 30 examples. So, and again, this isn't me going nuts on. This is just finding people that have come out and they're on the record pretty concretely. They're not on the record saying anything half-assed or on the record saying one tweet or something. And in some cases, like Jalen Ramsey's it was, but he even elaborated on that and said that he shouldn't have tweeted it. And then, so I mean, again, at the end of the day, that's not proving anything. All he's saying was I shouldn't have tweeted out the truth. But many of these people from when it happened, Dwight Smith, Larry, Bubba, the Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, they've maintained the same story. This is ridiculous. It's never happened, and something was up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I always like to do a recap. And since I had some time, I thought we would go into all these people that Pat McAfee forgot existed, who came out or were exposed at some point or another saying that they've never seen this or this is why the NFL is set up the way it is. And you could see it goes through the players, to the owners, to the committee, to the officials. But this guy here, McAfee, just wants to blame the officials, which I find very amusing. But yeah, so I hope you guys, you guys go look into all these individuals and make sure I'm not misquoting them. Again, these aren't exact quotes, but these are basically exactly what they said and the message of what they said. But you could look into them yourself and see what they said. And I'm sure you'll find a lot more too, because I didn't go crazy with this. I just figured 15 should be enough, since people are saying there's not even one. So we had a great night tonight. We're going to keep moving forward. And like I said, we're going to really go into the officiating aspect in the next couple weeks. Take care and happy earnings.